for a bit. My name is Christy Splitt, and I'm the Government Relations Coordinator at the Oregon Department of Energy, but I've also been around this program for about 6 years, so I'm excited to be here to moderate our conversation today. We're going to discuss the temporary reopening of the Oregon Solar and Storage Rebate Program. This webinar is being recorded, and the slides and recording will be posted to ODO's website for future viewing. We'll also start with introducing some of the other staff who work at ODO, starting with James Kogel, who's going to be my co-presenter today. James, do you want to say hello and pass the baton from there?
Yeah, thanks. Hi, my name's James Kogel. I'm a policy analyst here at the Oregon Department of Energy. I've been working across several of the agency's incentive programs, and I will pass it over to Patricia.
Hi, I'm Patricia. I'm an incentives analyst with the agency as well. I also work across a number of different programs, and I will pass it on to Vicki.
Hello, I'm Vicki Farnsworth, and I am pretty new, a division assistant with the Oregon Department of Energy. Thank you.
Great. And with that, we can go on to the next slide. Quickly, if you're not familiar with our agency, we just want you to know a little bit about us and what we do. Our agency helps Oregonians make informed decisions and maintain a resilient and affordable energy system. We bet you agree that you also care about those things, so it's something we have in common. Here at ODO, we advance solutions to shape an equitable, clean energy transition, protect the environment and public health, and responsibly balance energy needs and impacts for current and future generations. So on this slide, we have the 5 broad focus areas of our work, including energy programs and activities like the Oregon Solar and Storage Rebate Program. And with that, we can go to the next slide. And then I'm going to hand things over to James in a second. I'll get to the chat when I get done going through the agenda here quickly. We'll start with a quick overview of how to use WebEx. I said before, it's unfamiliar to a lot of folks I know. And then we'll move on to briefly highlight the recent passage of some consumer protection measures that we want to make sure all Oregon contractors are aware of now that they're law. And then there will be an update on recent changes to the program and information about the reopening. There'll also be plenty of time for questions and comments. We're really wanting you to get some information from us, but really be here for you today. What I'm going to do, though, is keep an eye out for raised hands along the way. If I see some, we'll grab those along the way. And then I'll either, if there's questions where I think it's the right thing to break into the conversation, we'll do that. Otherwise, I might answer in the chat or hold questions until the question and answer time at the end. We can go to the next slide and quickly walk through WebEx. So you can use the raise hand function to ask questions. You can also use the chat function. Like I said, I see some people are already using it. I can't wait to get into it. So I want to make sure everybody sees where to raise that hand. Take a minute now. You can look at the image here to find out how to use that raise hand or how to find the chat. And we really do encourage you to give us comments and questions and really appreciate your participation. We love raised hands as much as we love chat, just to kind of keep things on both sides of the coin there. For those of you who are on the phone, you can use *3 to raise your hand, and then we'll unmute you and call on you to ask questions. Before we dive in, anybody who's figured out how to raise a hand and want to ask any questions about WebEx or kind of how we're going to run the conversation today? And I will start looking at the chat now. Okay. Well, with that, I do already see some questions in the chat, like I said, and I'm going to hand things off to James for now, and then we'll be back. I'll be back for the Q&A. Thanks.
Thanks, Christy. So earlier this year, House Bill 4029 was passed and it is now in effect. I'm going to put a link to that bill just in the chat. It establishes the consumer protections associated with the sale and purchase of residential solar. I want to highlight these new requirements today, but we're not going to be conducting a training session about those requirements right now. If you have questions about consumer protection requirements, please let the department know. During the 2025 legislative session, Senate Bill 827 was passed and became effective January 1st of this year. This created a new rebate type in the Oregon Solar Plus Storage Rebate Program for battery storage systems that will be paired at the time of installation with previously purchased and installed solar systems. This means we will have 3 rebate types: solar only, paired solar and storage, and storage only. The requirement that paired solar and storage systems be purchased together from the same eligible contractor applies for paired solar and storage rebates, but does not apply to this new storage only rebate. The storage system for a storage only rebate has to be paired at the time of installation with a previously purchased and installed solar electric system. The battery and solar system involved in a storage only rebate will need to meet the same technical requirements as a paired solar storage system would. For instance, the resulting paired system will need a minimum of 1 kilowatt DC of solar electric nameplate capacity for every 5 kilowatt hours of battery storage. They'll need to meet the same total solar resource fraction requirements. All installations of an energy storage system that will be paired at the time of installation with a previously purchased and installed solar electric system must include a workmanship warranty that covers the installation of the battery for the duration of at least 5 years. The cap on the number of reservations a contractor can have at a time remains the same as it was previously, and that is 20 reservations for systems for low or moderate income residential customers or low income service providers, and 20 for systems for residential customers who are not low or moderate income. I'll pause and see if there's any questions.
Yeah, we do have a question in the chat. Could we unmute Lynette and see what her question is? Lynette, you should be able to ask now. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Hi, I noticed that the storage only is not on the current application yet. Is that going to be added soon? Because I've only seen PV only and PV in storage.
Correct, and I'm going to get to that in the next couple of, in about 2 slides time. But no, it's not up yet. There is a guide online, and again, we'll be putting links to that in just a couple of slides, so we'll get to that in just a moment. Great question, thank you.
Yeah, we just have to do a little end run to handle storage in order to open the program sooner rather than waiting to have it perfectly in the application. So we figured out a way to open faster because we heard from contractors that was a goal. I don't see any other hands up for now. And the question in the chat was happy to wait. I guess really quickly on the limits, can we just confirm 20 reservations for LMI, 20 for non-LMI, so 40 total?
Yes, 40 total.
Great. Okay, thanks. We can move on now.
So the Oregon Solar Plus Storage Rebate Program will reopen for reservation applications 8 a.m. on June 15th, 2026. There is $1.1 million available. Program rules dictate how the program funds are made available. The rules specify that the available funds will be split into 2 buckets, 50-50. $550,000 are reserved for systems for low or moderate income residential customers or low income service providers. And the other $550,000 are reserved for systems for residential customers other than low or moderate income residential customers. No more than 25% of the available funds may be used in the calendar year for rebates for storage only projects as well. It's one of the new requirements that has come in. So historically, funds for this program have gone quickly, and we anticipate that being the case this time. The application portal will not close the moment we submitted applications for the amount of funds we have available. Therefore, we expect to have more reservation applications than there are funds available. Any project submitted has not reserved funds until the reservation has been accepted. There will be reservation applications submitted that we need to reject as there are no funds available. Once we have approved reservations for the amount of funds available, we will reject any remaining reservations, as there will not be funds available for those reservation applications. Depending on the rate of applications, it may take time for program staff to review and process applications to reserve all funding. We apologize for the uncertainty this provides you and your customers. We have updated the eligible contractors list on the webpage. If you're not on the list but feel that you should be, please get in touch. Also, the list has details about additional languages contractors offer. If you would like that information updated for your business, please just send us an email. And again, I'll pause in case there's any questions.
Yeah, we do have one. We'll start with Unity Electrical and then we'll go back to Lynette. While we're getting Unity Electrical off mute, I just kind of want to repeat that so that it's really clear. You can get your rebate. There's going to be a moment where you'll get the reservation in, but until it's accepted, you don't have that reservation yet. So you don't want to wait till that acceptance comes through to feel confident that you've got the reservation. Okay, we'll go ahead with Unity. You should be off mute.
Yeah. Yeah, this is Taylor here, and so you guys, right before you had mentioned the program reopening, you had mentioned like 20 and 20, something, a number there, as far as like what would be reserved for LMI. What could you go over that just very briefly, and then just a two-parter?
Can we knock that one out really quick? Okay. That's just caps on per contractor reservation numbers. Yeah. And now to your second part.
I see. Okay. Okay. Oh, and the second part is, so when in the process do the funds actually become secured?
So once you submit your reservation application, then program staff have to review this application to make sure it complies with program rules and requirements. Once they've reviewed it, and if everything is in order, then they will kind of approve the reservation. At that point, you'll get a notification that it's been accepted and that you have those funds reserved.
Okay. And is there, for the solar aspect, is there a minimum requirement? I know for ODOE, is there, just for the solar aspect, is there a minimum system requirement? Did you say 1 kilowatt?
That was in relation to the requirement for the paired system. So there are requirements for the just kind of project
Solar
eligibility. And I'll put the link to the rules in here for the project eligibility, and it kind of goes into the requirements for paired solar storage and energy and storage only. So it talks about the warranty requirements and things like that.
Okay. Is that okay if I keep rolling with my questions, or do you want me to split it up?
I think it would be great if we got to get to the Q&A, if that's okay. I'm trying to maybe just get to the questions about like recent information, just to make sure people get it clearly. Does that work? Yeah. Okay, great. I just don't want to get to a position where we take all the questions and then we don't get to the stuff that we need to say. Okay, cool. We did have a couple of other hands up. Same kind of rule applies. If you're asking about something you just heard, great. If it's a general question, I'd love to wait till the Q&A. And with that, we'll go to Lynette next again, and then we'll go to Alec.
Okay.
Lynette, you should be good to go.
Hi. Okay, so you said that we're going to be able to submit applications, but there's not going to be a cutoff. So you won't be rejecting applications until after, like, is it going to be like a first come, first serve? And then when you figure out, how many applications and then reject the rest? Or, I mean, I'm not really clear on that.
Sure. It's not going to be an immediate cutoff. We'll likely, once we see that the applications have come in, will likely be enough applications to fill the medical funds. We'll likely close it at the end of the day. And then we'll be reviewing those applications that come in the order that they are submitted. And as I said, you'll if your reservation application is approved, then you'll have the funds reserved, and then once we have reserved all the enough reservation applications that maxes out the funds, then we'll kind of communicate that to all by rejecting all the remaining reservations.
Okay, and then how quickly will we know if the funds were reserved?
We'll be working as fast as we can, but we have limited staff to be able to work on these reservations, and we're expecting probably quite a few reservations coming in. So we'll be working as fast as we can, and we apologize for any inconvenience.
Well, I mean, any guesstimates? Like, is it going to be a day, a week? Because we can't install right until we have the approval. So we're just kind of wondering like how long it's going to take to get some kind of, approval back.
At this point, I don't have an estimate for.
I think doesn't it depend on like the volume and pace. Yeah, that's what makes it hard to predict. Honestly, Lynette, if I'm at risk of getting in trouble, it's certainly not going to be a day unless you happen to be the one of the very first people to get in. So I would expect it to be, just given we have now some experience with this because we have remaining dollars, but we don't have staff for this program. And we've had that across some other incentive programs as well. Just given budget cuts, they've basically been like, we can't give you any new money for staff, but we still have money. So we're trying to like use some staff that we have that have some capacity so that we can get these dollars out to support your work. So it's going to be, chances are it'll be a little slower than it was historically with this program. But just know that we're going to be doing our level best. And I know you need some certainty. So what I'd like to do with James is maybe we could come up with, how I said we would, or James said that like the program would send out a message when the reservations are no longer open.
Right.
Maybe in that we could say, here's what we got. Here's how fast things are going, and maybe give a little bit more certainty at that time.
That'd be great.
I think we could try our best to give some sort of range in there.
Okay, cool.
Just based on what we see happen. Because if a bunch of LMI come in, low to moderate income, larger projects, that's fewer reservations, so. Right. So we'll kind of be able to give a snapshot at that point. And hopefully people feel comfortable with me committing to give a range, but I think that's fair. We can do our best.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Okay, Alec, and then we'll go ahead and move on from raised hands now. And I will go in the chat and see if there's anything that's about what we recently heard. And then after Alec, we'll go back to the next slides, or chat, then slides. Alec, go ahead.
Hey, sorry, I won't take up much time. I had a question on the fact that, let's say you submit a project and there were some requirements that were needed after the fact and it gets rejected. Is that not considered a reservations reserved, or does it need to have that full application? Just in the case of, let's say something is put on a document or something like that, or a client sends something in that really wasn't what you guys needed for tax information. I'm just looking at those scenarios here.
Typically, we ask for more information, I believe, when we see something like that. And so I think that we would be just kind of going back to the contract saying this is missing or whatever.
Would that be kicked back to the end of the line, or would that be like, because my hope is that like we get the reservation, but if there's a hiccup with it, would that cancel that hope of getting the reservation? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally get that. I don't have that right in front of me right now.
It sounds like what I'm hearing from somebody who's processed reservations in the past and is on this call is that that we generally give people 24 hours to fix it.
Okay, that's kind of what it was last time, or at least there was some grace period. So I'm glad that that's probably around the same idea of what we're doing this time.
Yeah, I think that looks like what we've done in the past is give that little grace period, but definitely what we don't want to have happen is people put in incomplete applications just to get them in,
Totally.
and then have a situation where we're giving a bunch of time for them to get everything in and wind up having other people who are ready not be able to get in the queue. So kind of trying to find that balance. Yeah. Hopefully I got that right. Great. Okay. So I see a couple, yeah, Marvin's right. It will not yet be reserved. We'll have you get that information to us. And then Maya has a question that's really specific. And so I'm going to find the answer and have us handle it during the Q&A. And James, you can go ahead.
Thanks. So we're going to move into how to input rebates. So for any new contractors, if you're not already approved contractor for the program, you will need to submit an application to become an eligible contractor. If you are approved, you will then be granted access to PowerClerk, where you can submit rebate reservations. And I want to talk more about kind of how to submit the storage-only rebates as well. So currently, as we've already talked about, PowerClerk has not yet been modified to have a dedicated storage-only project type and application form. We have published a guide to submitting storage-only reservations on our webpage. The guide outlines the information I'm about to cover, and the process and forms for solar-only and paired solar and storage have not changed. For those storage-only projects, you will need to select PV plus storage for the project type. You will need to enter the data for the solar system you are adding battery storage to. As expected, you will also need to complete information about the battery storage being installed. Under the warranty information, you will need to enter minimum required warranties for the PV panels, inverter, and total system workmanship. This is required information to be able to submit the application, so we can't really work around that. We're going to ask you to add the storage system warranty later in the form. Next, on the financial tab, you will need to input zeros for the PV system costs, the ineligible costs, and the utility incentives. Even if you were receiving one for the battery storage, though we are going to collect the battery storage incentive data later in the form, you will also input the net storage system costs in the storage system cost box. And again, this information is on that guide online, and this information I'm covering as well now. On the additional information and submission tab of PowerClerk, you will attach the contract as normal. The contractor should include the pieces of information listed on this slide, so the number of batteries, make, model, the storage system, workmanship, warranty, total storage system cost, utility incentives received for this storage system, and any ineligible costs if it's applicable. And then finally, you'll be asked to copy the information displayed on the slide here. And again, these will be able to copy them out of that guide online. And then you'll need to complete the information for the project. And so that'll be kind of the total storage system cost. And then the storage utility incentive, and that's where you'll put the storage workmanship warranty as well. Skipping ahead now to the request for a rebate, I want to highlight that rather than generating a project attestation for storage only like you would for other projects, you'll need to fill in a blank form which is available from the forms section of the program's webpage. This only includes the storage information. Once PowerClerk is updated to allow for storage only submissions, we will notify contractors of any changes to the process. So that was quite a bit of detail. Any questions about the reservation submission process?
I think I managed to answer a question confusingly in the chat. So, so we got asked about, to confirm for a battery only reservation, could you go back and show the PV information and how that should look? So it'll be zeros on the PV information. Sorry that I started to answer and made it a two-part answer. There was a chat in the middle. So just wanted to clarify that. And also just, Patricia put that guide to submitting storage only reservations that James just kind of walked through on the slides in the chat. So if you were confused, which is fair, because like until you probably do it, it's going to be weird. You can look there and get that information, plus watch the chat. Let's see. I think that we have a general question. Alec is asking to go over page 2 of Power Clerk. Do you think he just means page 2 on the storage only?
So either it's this one or the one we just covered. So this is the PV project type, selecting PV and solar and storage is a project type, and then you have to have these minimum required warranties in, and then
can you go back for a second, because I got a question on this one. Okay. Yeah. As far as the warranty goes here, if the panels were installed by a different company, do we then need to get that warranty information to put in here, or do they have to do a new warranty themselves?
No, it would just, the warranty that we're requiring for the battery storage only projects is just about the battery storage being installed. We're not kind of asking for evidence of previously warranties on previously installed information, solar systems, and so we're asking for this information to be input only really to be able to submit the application form, because without that information, we tried kind of to put zeros in, but it wouldn't accept the application, and you can't leave them blank. So it's only to be able to submit the application. We're not asking for proof that
real numbers necessarily.
Yeah, all we're asking for is for the storage, the battery storage warranty is on the contract, and that is it put in the notes.
And then Alec is wondering on the main question for page 2, how would we handle the PV portion? Would we insert the existing system or leave it blank? I think you leave it at zeros.
But for the actual system, we do want the system. So the number of inverters, the make model of the inverter.
Can you go to the page 2 that he's talking about?
I don't have a slide with information on that, but it is in the guide there. Okay. So this solar electric system information, the PV system specification, we will need to see the information you would typically put in for a paired system or a solar system. You would still need to input that in for the existing system that you are pairing the storage with. So you would need to know the make model of the existing solar system and everything, because we need to make sure that the existing, what will become a paired system when you install the battery, matches the same requirements as if you were installing a paired system at the same time.
Okay, I think that I got to the questions that were in the chat on this, and I think asked maybe 1 or 2 of my own along the way. But bottom line is, we have this guide. Oh, another one came in. Would we also need the TSRF for the existing PV system, similar to a PV only system? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so you need information about the existing system. Great. Okay, so we have that guide. So hopefully the first time you have to experience it, you can have the guide, and hopefully that'll help you through. So if anybody like wants to go through the guide and has questions, maybe somebody, maybe somebody can put in the chat who they could email if they're like, I've gone through it and I'm still confused. Can we talk before the opening? Maybe we could put an email address in. And then we got asked a question of, is there a minimum TSRF?
Yeah, but I'm just going to copy the rule text into the chat.
Okay. So you can look that up.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Thanks, James. All right. Marvin knows the answer. He says 75. All right. Let's see. Are we ready to move on to the general Q&A? I think I've promised to get back to a couple questions. Although now we got another question about storage only, so we'll do that. Grant wants to know, if the existing system is not listed materials, then are they not eligible for the rebate?
So that would be listed in PowerClerk. I will need to check.
Like Solar World modules, he gives an example.
I think that came up in another question. I'm trying to think back to that question. I will get back to that if I can.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and scroll back up to a question that I have an answer for while you maybe want to think about that one for a sec. So way back before we talked about storage only, I got asked about, there was a question that came in about, are you going to accept non-filer documents again? And I just want to make sure folks know that for the low to moderate income rebate, we require an Oregon tax transcript. And if you go to the IRS website and look for a tax transcript, there is a non-filing option. The applicant just needs to check that box, and then they'll get a non-filing status for 2024. Starting on June 15th, they'll get the 2025 non-tax filing status. So either one will work. And so you can just get them to get that, and that becomes their proof that they were not a filer, and therefore they don't have a tax transcript with other information on it. So hopefully that answers that question. It's the same form as the tax transcript. It's just you have to check a box. And then Ben at the beginning had a couple questions, and I said I would handle those first in the general Q&A. Are we about ready for those, or do you still have many more slides?
No, we're good to move forward.
So Ben was, if we're subcontracted, does our contract need to be between us and the end user, or us and a general contractor? I think it's the end user, right?
So the subcontracted, so it can get tricky. We are looking to have acknowledgement that from the homeowner, well, I guess if it's a homeowner list, that they are aware of the cost and the rebate. So we would look for a signature from the owner of the system.
Okay. So there's that answer. He also was wondering about, how do we apply for rebates for a client like the city of Salem? Would they be a low income service provider? And I think that depends.
Correct.
Yeah.
They could qualify as a low income service provider. There are ways for them to do that. I will just kind of put in the text for the rule. I'll put the rule text in. It kind of goes in quite a bit of detail, but I think section number 3, I think number 3 or 4 is the most typical way for a city to be able to qualify. So you see that on a local government entity that uses public buildings to provide social services to low income or moderate income individuals, emergency shelters, communications. Those are the types of situations where a city is able to qualify as a low income service provider.
So it's a certain type of structure that has to be served by the project in order to qualify. All right, hopefully that's clear on that one. We have a lot going on in the chat. I think that Nathan we kind of left off with the unanswered question about if the materials aren't listed. And then we'll get back to Nathan, but I'm going to and then go from there. I'm going to take a minute and go to raised hands, which is Lynette. We'll go to Lynette and then we'll come back to the chat. Lynette, go ahead.
Yeah, can you go back to the non-filing issue?
We had a couple questions on that one. Go ahead.
So you said that they have the form that states that they're a non-filing person, but is there an ODO form that goes with that, or do I just submit just the non-filing form?
Do you feel like you need to hear the question again?
I think it is the same form as I think it's the option 3, the tax is you would submit for the tax transcripts.
So the option 3 doesn't have anything specifically on there. Should I just put something on there, or just have?
It's the same. We think it's the same form.
Yeah.
Well, because I looked at the option 3 form and it doesn't have anything for non-filing, like it as one of the boxes to check. But should I just have them sign that form anyways, or?
Yes, sign the form anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the tax transcripts.
And then the non-filing form, yeah.
Then the non-filing form. Okay, so I'll just send an option 3. Okay, thanks.
And we'll maybe double check that and circle back, because yeah. Again, one of the people who's processed these quite a bit is questioning our answer, I think, potentially. So we'll double check on that one. We did get a couple questions related to this. So Nathan, hang tight. I'll come back on the shade report. And we still have to talk about the module and the not module, but the so is there let's see, are you still accepting OHP eligible for low income option 2? Yes, that has not changed. So I just wanted to confirm that. And then we can go back to Nathan's question. Sorry, it's one of the reasons the hands are nice is the check is real unwieldy, so forgive me. So Nathan wants to know, is once an incentive is approved based on a shade report, is there any reason the incentive would be pulled back after install based on TSRF solar exposure specifically? So after installation, if we've already, I don't think so. So again, we've already approved it. We've got the shade report. The project is done. Or is it possible that at that point we'll say no because of a TSRF solar exposure issue?
If the reservation has been approved with the TSRF information, I think that is typically what we'd be looking for. I'm not sure where I wonder,
we do go out and look at sites,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So if we went out and found that the shade report was inaccurate, maybe that's the concern.
I think if it was found that the project was ineligible because there was an issue like that, then it might be that the rebate would be denied, because it would, if it was basically fraudulent information had been put in the reservation at the start.
So as long as an accurate shade report is put in, we don't show up and find out that it was inaccurate, then it should be fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully that's helpful, Nathan. And then Patricia did put in the TSRF information. Thank you. Then do we think we have an answer yet on what do you do if the module is not listed?
Yes, I believe that we have asked people to input similar system in using the available systems that are in the system. So it would need to have a similar kind of output and everything. And you could always have in the notes that it was this make and model instead.
Okay. All right. Hopefully that answers that one. There are some other questions related to that. Is there a list of approved software for the remote TSRF requirements?
The TSRF requirements were kind of put in the chat earlier on, and that's kind of what our rules state about the TSRF.
So there's not a required approved software for people to use for remote requirements. We don't have a list.
We don't have a list.
Okay, great. Let's see. Patricia was kind enough to put in an email address for questions. There's also a low-income service provider eligibility link. A public school wondering about providing information for low-income verification. They would have to go in as a low-income service provider. And again, it would depend on the use of the structure, I imagine.
Yeah.
So you would want to, Leland, you're going to want to look at that low-income service provider eligibility link and sort out how that will work for us public school. Let's see. I'll go back to hands in just a sec. Are there any additional examples of low-income service provider documentation that has been accepted beyond what's listed in the rules, like receipt of funding? Like, would a letter from Red Cross work that the low-income service provider is a disaster shelter?
I'm just looking back. I think we are kind of are open to accepting. We only accept documentation from organizations on the 2 LMI form. Oh, sorry, no, that's a different thing. I was like, but the LISP, I think we would be happy to have a conversation to see what information you're able to provide, and we would then it needs to be sufficient information for us to figure out that is actually a LISP.
Yeah, it sounds like historically maybe we've only accepted the documentation listed, but let's talk and see if maybe you have something that can work. But ideally, it would be the organizations on the 2 forms. Oh, yeah, documentation from the organizations on the 2 forms. Molly was kind enough to share a cut and paste answer we gave on subcontractors, that it's the owner developer who has to sign. Are there any common, maybe Patricia might want to just come off for this one. Are there any common rejection reasons or recurring mistakes from previous funding rounds that installers should specifically avoid?
I don't know.
Just common things you've seen. I think I'm aware that sometimes it's just like people just leave things blank, right? That's a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's, and we definitely will try, we give that 24, you know, if the reservation is incomplete and we really, really, really want them to be complete, but if there's an honest mistake, we will reach out and we give you 24 hours to fix that, or by 5 o'clock the next day. But I can't think of any common mistakes other than people just going too quickly through the application process. But then we also know that as solar contractors, you may know a little bit more about solar than we do, but do your best.
Yeah.
And if you have questions, just email us at our odo.solarrebates@energyoregon.gov. We definitely will help you.
Great. All right, Carson has a question. I think I know the answer. We'll see. If we are an approved general contractor, and I almost wish I could ask Carson if they mean that they are approved already as a contractor on our list or just a general contractor in general, but they're not the installer. Can they apply as the general contractor and subcontract the installation through another company? The companies that they usually bid out to have hit their limits and can't get through to Odo right now. Do we even have somebody who's at their limits right now since we're starting over? Okay, so Carson, I think it's a non-issue because nobody should be at their limits right now. Do LISP applications count toward the 20 application limit?
So LISP and residential LMI, 20 applications, and then non-income restricted residential is another 20 applications, reservations. So yes, LISP count in the low moderate income LISP reservation pot for the cap.
Okay, got it. And then I'm going to do Nicole's question and then come back to Joe. So the question is, would an Odo application be denied if the contract was signed before House Bill 4029 became effective?
No, I'm just trying to think that, so they signed the contract before 4029 became effective. As long as it hasn't been installed, you have to apply for a reservation before you install a system. Yeah.
Great. All right, I'll get back to the chat in a second, but we do have 4 hands up. So we'll start with Lynette and then Alec, you'll be on deck. Lynette, you're up.
Yeah, can I ask a question about the application? I was looking at the application and there was a part that was confusing on page 3. Is that possible?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you're submitting a battery and solar job, at the top it says the total PV cost. Is that saying that I'm only putting in the solar amount? Because if I put in only the solar amount and not the total cost of the project, it kind of doesn't make sense for the bottom line. But I just want to make sure that I'm doing it correctly for what you guys are looking for.
And
So
can I confirm this is for a paired system, not storage only?
paired.
Okay. There is a guide that kind of gives a little more detail that kind of walks you through. I don't know if you've had a chance. I just dropped the link in the chat. And it goes through, there we go, Tricia's got it as well. It kind of goes through this in a little more detail than we've covered. And hopefully that will answer your questions.
Okay, would it also,
not,
sorry.
Please, I was gonna say, if it doesn't answer the questions, let us know. We'd be happy to walk you through it as well.
Okay, does it also answer the question of the next line? It says utility incentives, and would that be all of the incentives or just the solar incentives?
It does walk you through each of those sections, yes.
Okay.
So the guide I just popped in is for applying for a solar system or a paired solar and storage system. It'll walk you through both those tracks. We just had to create that new guide for storage only.
And it sounds like just Marvin's being very helpful, who seems to be experienced with this, that it would be the utility incentives for both the PV and the storage. But it's also in the guide, as James is answering.
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
We're going to go to Alec, and then Unity will be on deck, and then we'll go to Yuichi, and then we'll go back to the chat for the last few minutes. Alec, what you got?
Hey, I am looking at TSRF issues, and I'm not seeing a place to drop the shade reports within Power Clerk. Would we just combine that with the signed contract and keep it all in one spot, or is there going to be an additional place to drop that TSRF paperwork? Or do you not need the paperwork? Is it sufficient just to put them in?
We don't need the paperwork. We just need the calculation methods. Either it's on-site shade or remote shade analysis, and the shading for the or just the information in the application system. So it's just kind of, and then the calculated TSR.
That works. And then I had one other thing, more of a something to educate on for possible ways that something would be denied or maybe misinterpreted for AC batteries. Those generally look a little wonky in Power Clerk. And I know we've worked extensively with PGE and ETO on kind of the correct way to input those. I'm assuming that's probably going to be the way we're inputting it here as well. I just want to make sure that you guys are going around the same methods as they do.
We can make sure we check in with them. Somebody else direct messaged me about the same thing. So we can add it to our list, as long as I don't get in trouble again for promising us to do something, to just check in with ETO, make sure we're consistent. Somebody else DM'd me about it and said it's been a reason for rejections in the past. And it's because we're doing something a little differently than ETO. So we'll take a look.
Awesome. Thank you.
Next up is Unity, and then we'll go to Yuichi, and then we'll go to the chat again to finish this out.
Oh yeah, so
Unity. Sorry, I forgot your name. Tyler?
Taylor. Yeah, Taylor. Yeah, and so so with Energy Trust, there's certain customers where like a tree has fallen down and Aurora for the TF4, the tree is still.
Oh, Taylor, we're kind of losing you a little bit. I think you're worried about what if the tree situation changes because a tree falls between application and inspection.
With the Energy Trust, we're able to do a resource packet.
We can't really hear you, Taylor.
Hang on.
No, it's okay.
We'd be happy to kind of take that question offline as well, just if you want to.
Yeah, sorry, you're breaking up and we can't hear you well enough to answer. Yuichi, you're up.
Yeah, hi, thanks. I actually have 5 questions. The first 4 are pretty simple and straightforward. The last one is a little bit complex, but yeah, so just piggybacking off of the previous question. So for like solar only reservations, is the shade report document with the TRSRF required, or is it just the information around the TRSF?
Just value? The information. Just the information. We covered that one a second ago. Go ahead. I'm trying to be fast with you, so just deal. Sorry, go fast.
All good. Are there any documents that require customer signature in order to complete the application in Power Clerk?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so those will be generated in Power Clerk as we go.
The contract has to have the signature on, and then the attestation comes at the rebate request stage. Patricia, am I missing any the signatures? And obviously LMI, if they're low at moderate income, they would need to sign that paperwork as well.
Okay, thank you. And then is this rebate limited to customers being served by specific Oregon electric utilities, or are all Oregon customers eligible?
All Oregon customers are eligible.
Yeah.
Okay. So assuming like our company, our customers, none of them are low to moderate income, can you please confirm again how many reservation applications would be limited to? Would it be 20 per category, like 20 for solar?
It's 20. If everybody's non-income restricted, so non-low moderate income, then it's 20 reservations.
Okay, in total. So if we have, so that would be across all categories, solar and or
Yeah.
solar plus storage.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can have
Understood.
20 other low moderate income or less projects, but for non-income, it'll be 20 across each of the
Okay.
across all the project categories.
Okay. And then the last one is the kind of a complex question. So how does the program confirm like general eligibility? I understand that the system cannot be installed, but like how would you, enforce that it hasn't been installed? That type of thing. And does it matter how far along they are in the utility interconnection process? Like for some projects, we might not have submitted for permission to install from, say, Pacific Power, and obviously we haven't installed that yet. Others, we might have gotten the permission, but we're still pending installation. Like, what is the kind of what will you all use to confirm that the system has not indeed been installed yet? I guess is my first part of that question.
So I'm just short time. We're basically looking at kind of permits, but also kind of looking at photography. And Patricia, can you think of anything else that we'll be reviewing?
No, I think you're right. I think it's the permits, and we also try to do a visual of it. And if we're at all concerned about that, then we reach out and email the contractor and get an attestation from the contractor that installation hasn't occurred. So we have a number of methods there.
Okay.
I think we need to discuss how we're going to do. Anyway, we have, given our new system, there will be some kinks, and we will do our best to work them out. And no, I cannot tell you what those are because I don't know what they're going to be, but please bear with us. We're trying to help you put these out.
Yeah, no, understood. And thank you. So last part of this question. So generally speaking, we just learned of this opening up, didn't have it on our radar. So none of this was baked into our, conversations with our existing customers. So we have signed contracts, we have projects underway, but none of the rebate, incentive conversations have been had with our customers, even though we have signed contracts. So, does it matter that we sold these projects without knowledge of, this rebate now being available? Like, how do you all kind of suggest that be reconciled with, with the customers, that these rebates will be, reserved under and so forth?
When we review the reservations, we're looking at the signed contract from the or invoice from from both you and the customer, and it needs to say Odo rebate or Odo storage. It needs to separate those out. So I apologize, and I know that this may appear last minute, but we really need that on there before we can confirm that reservation. We can reserve those funds for you. I apologize. I know this is tricky.
Oh, okay. So like we would essentially need to like go out and have the contracts like redone and re-signed to include this. And if we were, planning to apply for this incentive money on Monday, and I guess the likelihood that it becomes fully subscribed on Monday is also pretty high. So
Yeah.
like a short window of time to actually take this to our team and redo everything just to apply for the rebate. So
Yeah,
we're
let's
really-
make sure we get
we're
you,
sorry.
let's make sure we get you on our email list, and also maybe OSEA's email list, because I know they've been telling people this was coming too. So that way you're not caught by surprise if we're able to open again in the future. But sorry that it caught you that way.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I think I am on the list. I guess to that point.
And just for the people that are still on, because I know we've obviously spent like 10 minutes here on this one person, which is fine. We'll get to your last question, and then I'm happy to stay. I don't know if James and Patricia are available as well, but we can stay as long as people can stay. At least I can stay as long as people can stay, and get through the chat. So, because we know we have quite a bit in the chat still. So go ahead with your last question, and then we'll go back to Joe, who has a follow-up, and then we'll go through from there.
I guess maybe just a little bit of advice. So like, how are you seeing contracts written up when the nature of the rebate is kind of tenuous, where it might come available at some point, but it isn't necessarily available, like year round or for several months during a given year. So like, what types of things are you seeing in terms of the contracts that you have seen where it kind of addresses that? Because if we decide to include that in our contracts going forward in Oregon, without knowing when the program is going to be available again, I kind of want to understand what you might have seen to, kind of address that tenuousness in your experience, if you have any context.
So if you have if you've done if you've talked to your customers and you say, look, we think we can apply for this rebate, then you can. I have seen it where people have contractors have put, look, there's a rebate here, but we're not absolutely sure about this, and so there's wording in there to say that either the contract will be null and void if the funding doesn't come through, or you get the customer to somehow sign or initial something to say, yeah, I still want to move forward even if the funding comes. But even if you had something as general as that, if you don't have the rebate amounts, then unfortunately they just wouldn't apply. But I have seen that on contracts where either the contractor said, okay, it's all null and void, or they had the either or on there. And I can't come up with an example. I don't even know if it'd be legal if I came up with an example.
Okay.
I wonder if Yuichi, it might be good to figure out how to follow up with you afterwards, so that and there might also be people in the room here that are experienced with managing what has been a 6-year up and down cycle with this program. Thanks, State of Oregon, for your unstable funding for the program. I'm sarcastic, but that might have contracts that they could show you or something. I don't know, but we'll move on to the chat. But I'm gonna try to figure out how to find you, Yuichi, or you can direct message me or email or something, and we'll figure out how to move forward from here. All right, Joe. Back to you. So Joe heard we don't have to upload the shade report, but do we need to input the monthly solar access shading values for each array? In the past, that was optional for new construction projects.
Can you repeat that, Christy?
Yeah, sure. So he wants to know if we need to, for new construction, do we need to input the monthly solar access shading values for each array? I guess in the past for new construction, that was optional. To me, it sounds like you have to put it in, but
I am not familiar with that.
Treating new construction differently
as a specific.
All
So
right.
I don't have an answer right now for that.
Okay. Carson, what if we're selling the house and the system installed on it to a low-income homeowner? Is the transfer of ownership an issue? That's interesting. He works for Habitat for Humanity. Carson, let's see if we can talk offline. So DM me with your email. Or wait, go ahead, Patricia. Do you know?
We're trying to find this information for Carson. We're doing the research now, so we have worked with Ben Redmond, Habitat for Humanity before. We're just trying to make sure that we're giving the correct information, and we've been getting ready for this webinar. So very sorry, Carson. I know that you're anxious to get going, and we respect that. We just don't have that answer at this moment. I'm sorry.
Okay. Then we got at least a few questions that I saw circulating in about pre-populating Power Clerk. I know that I was very explicitly told that that is not allowed. But then it looks like somebody already did pre-populate Power Clerk. Are they going to lose all that information?
We don't recommend it. We don't know if they pre-populate it, and then if it's just like one reservation. I don't know, but we don't recommend it, because if they end up, pressing enter and it's not what they think it is, then it's really on them if they do that.
Then it can't go in. Okay.
I
So
don't
it's
know.
risky. Sounds like it's very risky. All right. Can you go over what information you're looking for on contracts? It used to be, it sounds like customer info, system info, warranty, cost breakdown, and a customer signature page. Am I missing anything? And maybe we can point them to a resource for this.
Yeah, I've just been looking for that. I will continue to look.
Okay. Ben asked, and I think we've kind of already answered this in another conversation, the contractor needs to be the solar contractor and the end user, like the building owner, and not with another contractor, correct? Or can the electrical contractor and a solar contractor have the contract?
We need signature from the owner in some way on that contract.
Okay.
But if we're talking about the LISP, then you might have a general contractor and you may have a subcontractor, and the general contractor would be the one to sign the contract. But it really depends on what you're talking about, and I'm not sure what that would mean for LMI or non-LISP oriented.
So for a low income service provider project, it can be general contractor to solar contractor. Do not need the nonprofit, let's say they're building for it, does not have to be involved in the contract.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Sorry, I'm sure everybody loves watching us be rusty after being closed for a couple of years and losing the main staff for this. Patricia's been a helper outer, not the lead staff. So Ben, Pure Energy Group, I'm sorry, that's an unclear answer. Generally speaking, the contracts are with the owner of the property, but perhaps for LISP, it's different. So if you were to turn in the contract as described, we would maybe be able to get back to you and see if we could get it resolved. Yes, if there's a problem. Okay.
Yeah, and go ahead and email us. We've been answering a lot of questions, and my brain's fried. I'm sorry. Email us the question. We will get back to you.
If system details, next one. This is Nary. If system details change after reservation approval, such as system size, equipment, or adding or removing a battery, will the reservation need to be resubmitted or revised?
You can amend it as long as it doesn't change the total scope of the project too much. So you can file an amendment through Power Clerk, and then we'll review it and we'll get back to you about it. Okay. But it can't be too drastic. It has to be within a certain parameter.
Okay. And then additionally, is there a required deadline between reservation approval and installation completion / PTO approval?
They have 100, the initial reservation is good for 180 days. And if they need to extend the reservation, they need to contact the program email and say, I'd like to, and they will be reminded, I believe Power Clerk automatically reminds them that their reservations are coming due. So people are, contractors are very good about emailing the program email or calling us and saying, hey, I'd like to extend this reservation. Then we will extend it for them. So we can extend it for another 180 days.
Okay. Oh no, I made the mistake of looking. Sorry. I love WebEx, everybody. It's the best. Okay, so we answered Nary's questions. Marvin, if you're still here, the contract signer must be the same as the person who signs the attestation form. Is that correct? Do they have to be the same person?
Think so.
Think so. Okay.
Yes.
More questions on pre-filling. Very risky. Let's see. Sorry, guys. Some of these have already been asked or answered. So a couple people asked, and then it came right after with the time, but once it answered by us, I guess, the time at which the portal will open, it will open at 8 a.m. on June 15th. So since somebody, not us, answered, I will answer that. The preloading questions confused is back. Some people are saying it seems like I wrote that that somebody could fill out a lot of the information and just finish the application. And my understanding again is we're asking folks not to do that because it's risky. And so it could become an issue. And then, yeah, start the applications at 8 a.m. and go just as fast as you can is what we expect to happen. And then utility interconnection approvals, are they required at the time of reservation? And somebody's saying that's never been needed in the past, so I don't think that's necessary.
I don't know, that maybe they're talking about a affordable housing, new construction, but I'm not familiar with that.
Okay. And then contract requirement makes it, okay, so somebody is concerned that requiring that the incentive is mentioned in the contract is unworkable, having to go back to customers and redo contracts for the possibility of an incentive. He's saying he'd prefer an option to revise the contract after acceptance or conditional acceptance. So I think if we saw a contract that didn't work, we would write and say you have 24 hours to get it fixed. Is that right?
Yes.
Great.
And we have heard that before, and unfortunately, that's how our program unfortunately has to work and has been working. So we understand that concern. We understand having to go back to the customer, but unfortunately, that's how this program works.
Okay. And then some people are saying it's been fine to pre-populate the forms. Somebody's asking what program would a school fall under in the LISP form? Again, we posted in the chat the low income service providers. I know there's a lot in the chat information, and you would need to look at that and kind of figure out where the school falls. The school is not automatically eligible. It depends on what the project is going to do and how it is serving low income populations. Okay, this is a long one. Ooh, wow.
That last one was me just putting.
Oh, that's you. Okay. I'm like, who's this James character?
Yeah.
Okay.
The FAQs has what the requirements for contracts that are submitted during the funding reservation process in Power Clerk, and the answer talks about the requirements, and then I also put a link into the FAQs as well.
Okay. So Ash has her hand up, so we'll go to Ash, and then we made it through the chat, and we'll see what Ash has to say. Ash, you should be able to talk now. Are you there? Maybe we lost her.
I think they don't want their question answered anymore.
Okay.
Oh, there she is.
Oh, do you have a question?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Sorry.
Okay.
I I just had a follow-up question regarding Nary's question for when system details are changed after a reservation approval. Just because we just kind of want some clarification as to like what too far outside the scope of work can mean. Does that include adding or removing panels, changing the inverter model or manufacturer, adding or removing a battery? Just like kind of some specifics as to how we should submit that like revision to the reservation after it's been approved.
So you definitely would input an amendment, and then there are certain limitations on, I am looking hard, but I can't find it. I tell you what, do you mind emailing and I can send you that information? There's like, if you have one, yeah, I don't have it at this moment, but it's, there are, please email.
Okay.
Maya asks, when the portal opens on Monday, will it auto-populate in Power Clerk as a drop-down, or will I need to register for the program?
Need to
You
register.
Yeah, you need to register and get approved, and then we will add you, and then we recommend that you check to make sure that that Odo is a drop down on your Power Clerk.
Okay. And then Mia asks, is the max system size eligible 25 kilowatt DC?
I don't think we have a max system size. I was double checking the rules, but no.
Okay. I think we have another hand up. Alec, welcome back. What can we do for you?
Hey, sorry to keep bogging it down.
You're all good. No.
it's a-
This is what we're here for. It's fine.
It's
let's
a
go.
Power Clerk specific question. So think of a scenario where it's solar only with storage only with existing solar. You have to put the solar in because that's needed. Put the battery in, and when you go to the financial side of the page to calculate the incentive, would there be two different calculations and you just click on the storage only? Or would you have to toggle between solar and storage? I'm thinking about ETO where they do it with two different ones where you can click solar or you can click storage, and you can click both if it's solar and storage. But I'm just wondering how it's going to work in Power Clerk.
Were you here when we went through the Power Clerk workaround for storage only?
I was, but it maybe didn't make enough sense for me at the time.
Okay.
Maybe I'll rewatch this and take a look.
Yeah, and there's the guide in the chat too. Maybe we should repost it because the chat got totally crazy. There's so many things in there now. But there's a guide to filling it out, and I think it might just be best to see that and go through that. And you can watch again, but I think the guide should get you there.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Let's see. Lynette is back, and then I see some new chats too. Lynette, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just circling back around to that non-filing status again. You said somebody happened to know that it wasn't option 3? Did they happen to verify that it wasn't option 3, or which option it is that I'm supposed to submit for that?
It's option 3. It's option 3.
It is option 3. And then do I just leave it? Sorry.
That's okay. Just put a note on there saying that it's for the option 3. It's just tie it together somehow and have your person sign it. But yeah, it's definitely option 3. It's just don't have that on there right now.
Perfect. Thank you.
Welcome.
I also remember a question that I missed, so I will ask it now in case the person that asked, I can't tell you who it was. They wanted to know if for storage only, it doesn't matter if it's LMI or not because it's the same rebate, right? So you don't need to get any tax information, correct?
It's a difference in the rate for battery storage rebates. So low, moderate income actually have a still, not the rate, it's the percent of the net storage system cost they can cover.
Oh, okay. So even though the incentive is the same, they could potentially have a higher percentage of their project paid for.
Yes. So LMI, it can cover up to 60% of the net storage system cost, or 2,500, and the rate is still $300 per kilowatt hour of installed storage capacity. And the non-income restricted, the not low or moderate income, is the same rate, but it's 40% of the net storage system cost, or 2,500. So it kind of depends on the actual cost of the storage system that's going in.
Yeah. So I'm not sure who asked that. If you're still on, I hope you heard that. And also Marvin's been dropping wisdom throughout. Thanks, Marvin. And has some thoughts in on how to handle if you need to do an amendment because of a system change. And we really appreciate your expertise and experience and sharing it with everyone else. And also, I will just say, my understanding is that the process is changing very little other than the adding of storage. And Alec, if you have more questions, we do have a general email. Maybe we should pop it in the chat one more time. And we would be happy to answer further questions via email. Wow, people are really excited this program's coming back. And also everyone is a little rusty because it's been a while since it's been open. So except Marvin, who remembers everything perfectly, thank God. All right. Well, we are really excited to be getting this money out and helping you and your customers. And hopefully in the future, we'll get more money. Solar Man just came back with the tax. Maybe he was the tax transcript question. Yes. Somebody just like, I now see the question again. Maybe he just asked it again that I just had us answer. I don't know. Maybe he was like away for a second, or maybe he's just wanting me to know it was him. We think it's a good idea to turn the tax transcript in because even though the incentive amount is the same, the percentage of the total project cost is different. So if your person wants to come in as LMI in order to have more of their project percentage, then you would need to have that tax transcript. Okay. Anybody else? Last call? Hopefully it's clear that Patricia and James are keeping tabs on that odo.solarrebates@energy.oregon.gov email that's been right here, but I've had the comments open in front of it. Please be in touch. We're happy to keep answering questions. And if we had a non-specific answer and you want to reach back out, feel free to do that too. We'll see. We'll get back to you in these next 5 days. And hopefully you're ready for a busy 6:15. That's June 15th, starting at 8 a.m. All right.
We'll have the recording and the slides up hopefully by tomorrow, sometime tomorrow. And of course, our website has a whole bunch of wonderful documents on it. We have lots of information on them.
Yeah. All right. Well, very grateful to you, James and Patricia. Any last words, James, Patricia? Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Here we go. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.